What would it feel like to be truly, deeply happy, regardless of your circumstances? Did you know that happiness is a choice and not a result? That you can create your life on purpose? Join us now to learn more. This is the Time to Rise and Thrive radio show. And here's your host, mindset coach, and facilitator of change, Jackie Mott.
Hello and welcome. Welcome to Time to Rise and Thrive on Inspired Choices Network. I'm your host, Jackie Mott, and it is Valentine's Day this weekend, my friends. So today we are going to talk about self-love because, some people are coupled off, some people aren't. And so how do we be okay when there's all of this judgment around what does it mean to be single at Valentine's Day? And, maybe you'll feel left out and all of that other crap, right? So let's just get real. Let's just get real today. We're going to talk about self-love. Happy Valentine's Day. That's the name of the show. So today we are going to be talking about the greatest love affair you will ever have, learning to practice self-love. So I got to tell you, like all week, as I've been thinking about this show leading up, Whitney Houston has been playing in the back of my head. Now, I don't know if some of our listeners might be a little bit too young to understand that, but if you are, go to YouTube and look up "Greatest Love of All" by Whitney Houston. It's a beautiful song. It's a beautiful song. I watched the video this morning just because I can't get it out of my head. I cannot get this song out of my head. It's a beautiful, beautiful song. So on Time to Rise and Thrive, we talk about our subliminal soundtrack, and I'm going to give you a little definition of that in just a moment. We talk about how to make it work for us rather than against us. We talk about seeing our unique beauty, value, and the contribution that we are to this world. And how does it get better than that? Like, how does it get better than that, right? When we can actually start to see ourselves that way, there's your self-love, my friend. There is your self-love. So, show description for today. It's almost Valentine's Day, the day that we celebrate love. And really, it's all about the romantic love, right? But let's just turn it right on its ear. Let's just turn it right on its ear and say, why does it need to be romantic? There's all kinds of love. There's all kinds of love flowing through this universe all the time, all day, every day. There's all kinds of love. So let's just tap into that for ourselves. How's that sound? So we're going to talk about the greatest love affair you'll ever have, learning to practice self-love. Whitney Houston said it best in her song, The Greatest Love of All. Didn't she? Self-love can be a challenge and a journey, especially if we've never shared space with people who have helped us understand what it truly means. And that's why we're here. That's the stuff we're going to talk about today. I'm actually going to give you some hows. Like, isn't that wonderful? It seems like this radio show slash TV thing, whatever the heck we're calling it these days, it seems like this has really turned into almost like a mini workshop machine, and I am really loving it. I am really loving it because it gives me that boost of practicing this stuff that I love to practice so much in a time when I really can't do very much with that in person. And I mean, that's my love space. That is my space of yummy, yummy, yummy. So when we talk about our subliminal soundtrack, here in a nutshell is what I'm talking about. We all have this sort of internal dialogue, and like that language, everybody seems to understand. Internal dialogue that goes on in the back of our minds all day, every day. Now, I just heard an interesting fact that the average person has between 60 and 80,000 thoughts in a day. I broke that down and it worked out to something like 2,500 thoughts per hour and 40 thoughts per minute or something like that. So think about that for just a second. How many of those thoughts are you actually aware of? How many of those thoughts are you actually purposely thinking? And how many of them are just going on in the background? So that's what we're talking about. The stuff that's going on in the background. Your subliminal soundtrack has been made up of everything that you've ever experienced in life, every relationship, every lesson that you've ever learned, every time that you've fallen down, every time that you've gotten back up, all of those things. And it really is very important for us to get clear on what it means to be loved, because some of us have some kind of quirky, weird ideas about what that means. So we are going to be talking about that today. Yay. So the subliminal soundtrack actually controls every area of our life. It tells us about our self-worth. It tells us about our value that we bring to the table, what we're capable of, what's possible for us. What does it mean to be loved? What does it mean to receive love? What does it mean to give love? Everything. It will influence, the money flows that you have, your career choices, every part of your life is influenced by this stuff that goes on in the back of your mind. Because what it is it's these deeply ingrained belief systems. Many have been there since we were children, because like we discussed last week on the show, children are really like they're sponges. They pay attention to everything that's happening around them, and they model and mimic what happens around them. So when it comes to relationships specifically, these kids are modeling the relationships that they see. So, what does it mean to be married? What does it mean to be single? What does it mean to be kind? What does it mean to be loving? What does it mean? And they absorb all of this information and they turn it into those messages that play in the back of our minds all day, every day. So, for example, if we grow up in a place where people are healthy and communicate well, and they treat each other with kindness and care and respect, then we will have a vastly different position on what does love mean and what does relationship mean than we will if we grow up in a place where people are always sniping at each other or going behind each other's backs or playing games or whatever the case may be. So we will have a very different view of what relationship and what love looks like based on what we're exposed to, especially in the early years of childhood. Especially. So here's the good news. All of that stuff is not your fault, and we can fix it. We can fix it. Yay. So that's some of the stuff that we're going to talk about today. So, what we believe to be true will be true for us, even if it's based on completely incorrect information. Like we just talked about. What does it mean to be loved? What does it mean to be in relationship? It can be it can be actually devastating to a person's life, because all of the decisions, all of the people that we bring into our lives are going to be influenced by these belief systems. Okay. So we will bring into our world and into our relationship a person who will honor our belief system, whether it's healthy or whether it's not. We will bring that person in, and then we wonder why. Like, why does this person treat me so poorly? It's a thing. Okay. So that's the place that we want to get to. Why does this person treat me the way they do? It's because I created it. Oh, I can change that. Yay. There's where your power lives. There's where your power lives, making the conscious choice based on healthy information that you are choosing to believe, as opposed to the stuff that is on autopilot. All right. Yay. So if we believe that our value and worth comes from other people, being on our own is probably uncomfortable, and you'll always be striving to earn their approval so they don't leave. Right? You always will be striving to earn your place in their life, as opposed to finding something comfortable that just fits nicely together where you don't have to earn. Because here's the thing about love, my friends. Here's the thing, and I've said it over and over and over again. You cannot earn someone's love. And if you are doing that, it is not love. Okay? Okay. If we believe, though, that we are whole and valuable and our self worth is based on what we decide and what we believe, you might get lonely sometimes. I'm not going to say that sometimes it's not nice to have company from somebody else or companionship, right? But you will learn to be comfortable with your own company. What might that feel like? What might that feel like? You get comfortable with your own company, and you'll require someone to actually be a contribution to your life. Oh, that feels different, doesn't it? We require them to contribute something to us instead of us always chasing and earning and fighting for and all of that stuff. Such a nicer place to be. Such a nicer place to be. So that means that we won't settle for less than we deserve. And that's a true place of self love and tapping into our personal empowerment. Empowerment. So what's better, right? What's better than that personal empowerment where we're functioning from what is healthy and good for me? What's better than that? Certainly not the other thing, the chasing and the who has time for that? Who has time for that? So this Whitney Houston song, this Greatest Love of All song that's been going through my head for the last week or so since I started really thinking about doing this show. There is a line in that song. It says, "Learning to love yourself is the greatest love of all." Now, this has been a real journey for me. It's been a real journey for me. A lot of it is because of that stuff that happened in childhood, right? So I'm going to share a bit about my story and how I came to a completely different place with this thing. And it took a while. It took some effort, but I got there. I got there. And yeah, it's man, come on in. The water's fine. It is just so much lovelier. All right. So here's how I sort of recognized that this was a place that wasn't working terribly well in my life. I used to work, we lived in Alberta for a while. And when we were out there, I worked in this office and I was in contact with these ladies that were part of the team pretty much every day. And I just started every once in a while, I'd pick up the phone and go, "Hey, beautiful, how's your day going?" Or, "Hey, gorgeous, how are you today?" Or whatever. And it was almost always that kind of greeting that they got when they called me. And one day I was thinking about that and I thought, wow, I just have this perception of these ladies as being absolutely beautiful creatures. And I mean, I'm not talking about physical, right? Like physical comes and goes. Physical goes away as you start to age. I'm talking about beautiful beings, okay? Different space to operate from. So I had this moment where I was like, wow, I can see these people in all of their glory and all of their beauty. What is it about me that makes it so hard for me to see that and to acknowledge that in myself? And so I started to go through this process where I was asking questions. I was like, okay, what's it going to take for me to see this side of myself? What's it going to take for me to start to see myself as other people see me? Because that's the other thing. That's the other thing. And we're going to get into more of an explanation about why I believe that to be true in our next segment. But right now, we're just going to focus on this piece of my journey because it's really brilliant. It's really brilliant. When we start to ask these questions, when we start to open ourselves up to considering other possibilities or other options or other things that might be true, it starts to shift big stuff for us. And, sometimes that's necessary. Sometimes it's necessary because if we're walking around with all of that naughty, nasty crap playing on the back of our mind all day, every day, the best way to address that is to challenge those thoughts. Wait a second. I don't know if I believe that to be true anymore. Let me consider this. Let me think about this and what else is possible here. It's a whole different way of being and it can help you break down those things really much more quickly than you might think. Anyway, so we were back in Ontario on a specific day, and this was the day that I saw her. This was the day that I saw her. So I have this beautiful friend, and we were getting together to do a little group. We were going to run a little group. It was one of the first ones that I was ever part of, and it was a wonderful, fun experience for me. So she's really like, these people that we look at and we go, wow, they are so beautiful. Like, and physically, I'm talking about physically, they're confident and all of this sort of stuff. And she said to me, "Jackie, we need to do a video. We need to do a video and we're going to post it up on Facebook. And that's how we're going to let people know that we're doing this. And then we'll see who signs up, blah, blah, blah." And I'm like, "Oh, no, we don't. No, we don't. I am not even a little bit interested in being on video." I didn't even like having my picture taken at that point in my life. And she was like, "No, no, no, we need to do this. We need to do this." And I said, "All right." So I remember the morning that I was going over to her place to film this video. And I was in the washroom and I was, fixing myself up and making myself kind of, look pretty and all of that stuff. And I was giving myself a pep talk in the mirror because like this was a big thing. This is me stepping way outside my comfort zone. And so I'm having this little pep talk with myself in the mirror and looking very closely at my image. And all of a sudden, something made me laugh. I don't know what thought went through the back of my head, but something made me laugh. And all of a sudden, I saw her. There was just this little twinkle in my eye, little twinkle in my eye that I saw in the mirror. And all of a sudden, I understood. That was the thing that people saw that I hadn't seen before. That little twinkle in the eye, that kind of mischief, that kind of fun, all of that stuff sort of rolled up into this little twinkle in my eye, and I got it. I got it just like that. It was amazing. So I went over to her place. We did the video. We got it in the first take because, my energy was high and her energy was high and we were excited and yeah, got it in the first take. And then there's a whole other story that maybe I'll share with you sometime. There's a whole other story that's kind of funny that happened after that. But that was the moment that I saw her. And that was the moment that I honestly can say shifted this whole thing about self love for me. So I'm going to let us go to break here for the next couple of minutes. You are with me on Time to Rise and Thrive on Inspired Choices Network. I'm your host, Jackie Mott. And when we come back, I'm going to share with you more about my story, more about what I've learned, and give you some stuff to think about this whole idea of having the greatest love affair you will ever have, the love affair with yourself. We'll be right back.
What do you tell yourself when you're not listening? This question came to Jackie Mott when she was trying to find peace and purpose in the wake of tragedy. She began to understand that a lot of her pain and choices had been the result of how she perceived herself and her place in the world. And she set about creating a new subliminal soundtrack that would support her in creating a life of abundance, joy, and fulfillment. To learn more about how she did that and how you can do the same, join Jackie on her radio show, Time to Rise and Thrive, every Friday at 1 p.m. Eastern, 12 noon Central, 11 a.m. Mountain, and 10 a.m. Pacific on InspiredChoicesNetwork.com.
Are you a subject matter expert? Are you here to share your expertise with an audience waiting to hear from you in only the way you can deliver? Are you ready to have your voice amplified across the airwaves? Inspired Choices Network has a global radio platform streaming to millions of people across the world. Professionally produced and supported by an accomplished team every step of the way, you can broadcast from anywhere in the world, knowing your voice matters, and we ensure it is delivered with ease and efficiency. Eager to hear your message, the world awaits. Contact us today to become an Inspired Choices Network radio host. Email become a host at inspiredchoicesnetwork.com.
This is the Time to Rise and Thrive show with mindset coach and facilitator of change, Jackie Mott. To participate in the program, join our live studio audience in our chat room at inspiredchoicesnetwork.com. For more information, visit phoenixcoach.ca, where you can follow Phoenix Coaching online. Now, back to the program.
Hello and welcome back to Time to Rise and Thrive on Inspired Choices Network. I'm your host, Jackie Mott of Phoenix. No, it's not Phoenix Coaching anymore. It's Subliminal Mindset Mastery here in London, Ontario. So just a couple more points about this story that I want to share with you before we start to get into the meat of this conversation. And it's going to get juicy. It's going to get juicy. Yay. So that moment when I saw me, that me that I had never seen before in the mirror, that was the spark. That was the place where it started. Okay. It didn't end there. It took effort. It took some work. It took me challenging those messages that were on the back of playing in the back of my mind on my subliminal soundtrack. It took me challenging the messages that were around my self-worth and my value. And, because I had been this girl that came home pregnant when I was 16. And that was one of those foundational messages that was stuck in there. And it caused me to perceive myself from this place that wasn't very loving. It was not very loving. There was a lot of judgment, and a lot of blame, and a lot of guilt, and a lot of all of that crap wrapped up in the ball of that message. Okay. So it was necessary for me to be willing to dance with my demons. It was necessary for me to be willing to look at those things in a very, very critical is not the right word, but to really be looking for clarity on how did that get there? What does it mean? Is it true? All of this other stuff, all of this other stuff. So I really had to get comfortable with dancing with my demons. And it took a few years for me to really work all the way through. In all honesty, I think where it really took hold was after the marriage ended. After the marriage ended and I was standing on my own and I had to figure a lot of stuff out on my own, a lot of stuff. And I could have bought into those demons that were telling me nasty stuff about myself and why the marriage had ended. I could have, and I probably did on some days, in all honesty, I probably did. And I learned to dance with them so that I could get to a space where I could honor and love myself and see myself and make a life that was based on me and what was good for me and my desires and all of that kind of stuff. It was necessary for me to rebuild, and I chose to dance with the demons. So what I built from those ashes would be solid, would be based on what was right for me. Okay? And that is really that space of self-love. What is right for me? What do I desire? What is honoring and caring for that person that I see in the mirror? What is honoring and caring for them? Because that's the thing. I did these workshops with these beautiful ladies, beautiful, beautiful ladies. And they talked about this love from a completely different space. They talked about it from a space of honor, honor and consideration. So when I truly love somebody, I consider them. I consider them when I'm making any kind of big decision. Um, I always want to honor them. It's a different flavor, and for me, it sits so beautifully. I'm like, oh, see, now that I can embrace that space. I can embrace this love thing. So that's our next thing that we're going to talk about. What does it mean? What does it really mean to love yourself? So, this space of honor and consideration, appreciation for all that you are, good and bad, because I promise you, my love, you would not be who you are without all of it. And oh man, when we get to the end, oh, very exciting stuff coming up. So, it's important for us to start to understand the contribution that we are to the world, the value that we bring to the table, that thing that is uniquely ours that nobody else can do. That's where you will find that, like, wow, this thing that I am is actually pretty great. That was the twinkle that I saw in my eye. I had never seen it before, but all of a sudden I understood all of these people around me that were like, no, Jackie, you're great. It took me seeing that before I could even begin to comprehend what they were talking about. And then taking the steps to heal the things, to fix the things, to change the programming, all of that kind of stuff, because that's what this really boils down to. The subliminal soundtrack is about conditioning and programming. So, the good news about that is that we can change the conditioning and programming. We have to be willing to make the effort, but we can make those changes and they can be lasting. So, this theory came to me. It's hard sometimes for us to see these things in ourselves because we have a very limited view. And I should have actually brought a mirror with me. What we see of ourselves is very limited. We see the reflection in the mirror, and that's it. That's all we've got to work from. All right. So follow me here for a second, because when we are seeing only that reflection, we do not get to see ourselves operating in our gifts. We do not get to see ourselves being kind and nurturing and loving or funny or sassy or sexy or any of those things, because when we're looking in the mirror 99% of the time we're doing it for a reason. I'm brushing my teeth, I'm you know making my face up, I'm whatever. When we look in the mirror, there's almost always a reason for looking in the mirror. So we are not looking for that magical little twinkle thing. We're not looking for that when we look in the mirror. And that's why our view of ourselves is so limited. So it's wonderful when people can show up who, take pictures. So this is another thing. This is one of the other steps that I went through in this journey. Was I realized one day I was looking at some pictures of myself and I really didn't like a lot of them. But the ones I really did like were the ones where I was in like full blown laughter or loving on somebody or whatever, because I don't see myself in that space because there's not a mirror present, right? Like I'm not going to grab you for a hug and say, "Oh, hold on, come on over here where I can actually see my face in this loving embrace." I'm not going to do that because it's not realistic, right? So, what we need to do is we need to start to ask for opportunities to see ourselves in the way that we appear in the world, in the way that other people see us in the world, right? So And I'm going to ask you to consider something. I'm going to ask you to consider something. So I saw this the other day, and I was on some virtual summit a couple of days ago. Actually, it was yesterday. My time's getting all screwy. Um, I was on this summit, and I was talking about self love, and I had seen this on Facebook. I don't know. I've seen it a few times actually, but I printed it off, and I'm going to show it to you. I don't know if you can get the pretty colors really from that. Can you get the pretty colors from that? So it says, how cool is it that the same God who created mountains and oceans and galaxies looked at you and thought the world needed one of you too? Yeah, right? Like, this is the yummy, juicy place. So here's the thing, there has never been another you. There will never be another you. There has never been a person who was created with exactly the same circumstances, environment, gifts, talents, all of this stuff, challenges, flaws, all of it goes into the pot to make the perfect you. Sit with that for a second. Everything about you is required to go into that pot for us to get the real you. There is not anything that can be missed or added. Nothing can be nah, nothing from that perfect recipe can be missed or added. All of it is you. All of it is the only thing that you can be. Okay? So just while we're talking here, I want you to just play with that. Just play with that feeling. Has anyone ever told you that before? Has anyone ever told you that you are the only perfect you that has ever walked this planet? Has anyone ever said thank you just for being here because your presence on this planet changes things? Has anyone ever said those things to you? I mean, we don't generally go around saying those things. So here's the challenge, say them to yourself. Say them to yourself. Hmm. I know it's uncomfortable, and I know it's not easy to do that. But this is where we start to shift things for ourselves. So here's an example. I was thinking about that whole statement this morning, and I was thinking I have sisters. One of them passed away, but I had two sisters when I came into this world, and they were identical twins. And so it made me think about that this morning. I'm like, man, so if you're not aware, identical twins actually start as the same cell, and they split, and that's how we end up with two being. There's, I think the other one is fraternal twins, and that actually has two different cells when they start. But identical twins actually come from the same exact cell. Okay. So they have the same DNA, they have the same everything. And I was thinking about my sisters. I was thinking about them this morning, and I thought, okay, so this one had darker hair than this one. Doesn't matter, probably not. But this one had darker hair than this one. This one was more artistic than this one. This one was more scientific than this one. You know, they each had their own unique flavor. They each had their own unique set of skills. So even people who start out from the exact same cellular material can still become vastly different people. Please consider this, guys. Please consider this, because you are the only you. You are the only you that this world will ever see. You are the only person who will experience exactly the same experiences, have exactly the same reactions to exactly the same people, exactly the same circumstances, so on and so on and so on. You are unique and you are beautiful, and that is it. Anybody who tries to tell you different, they don't have any idea what they're talking about. So be in that space. Just be in that space of like love and appreciation and gratitude. Gratitude for the things, even the challenges, man, even the challenges that are combined to make you uniquely you. Find a space of gratitude, because that is one of the first steps in achieving self love. Now, it's time for us to go to our next break. When we come back, I am going to share with you some actual exercises and tips that can help bring this home for you. So you are with me on Time to Rise and Thrive on Inspired Choices Network. I am Jackie Mott, your host. And when we come back, we're going to get to some of those tips and exercises about having the greatest love affair you will ever have, learning to love yourself. Stay with us. We'll be right back.
What do you tell yourself when you're not listening? This question came to Jackie Mott when she was trying to find peace and purpose in the wake of tragedy. She began to understand that a lot of her pain and choices had been the result of how she perceived herself and her place in the world. And she set about creating a new subliminal soundtrack that would support her in creating a life of abundance, joy, and fulfillment. To learn more about how she did that and how you can do the same, join Jackie on her radio show, Time to Rise and Thrive, every Friday at 1 p.m. Eastern, 12 noon Central, 11 a.m. Mountain, and 10 a.m. Pacific on InspiredChoicesNetwork.com.
What do you tell yourself when you're not listening? Our subliminal soundtrack plays in the back of our minds 24/7. It's filled with everything we've ever learned about money, relationships, body, and sexuality, about every single aspect of our lives. If you don't have what you desire, the Subliminal Soundtrack Reset program may be the very key to changing it all. In this 8-week program, designed by Jackie Mott, you'll learn to replace messages that stop your desires with new ones that not only support you in creating what you truly desire, but expand your life to higher levels of joy and pleasure. Go to phoenixcoach.ca today to sign up and begin creating your life on purpose.
This is the Time to Rise and Thrive show with mindset coach and facilitator of change, Jackie Mott. To participate in the program, join our live studio audience in our chat room at InspiredChoicesNetwork.com. For more information, visit phoenixcoach.ca, where you can follow Phoenix Coaching online. Now, back to the program.
Hello and welcome back to Time to Rise and Thrive on Inspired Choices Network. I'm your host, Jackie Mott, and you are with me on a very good show today. Happy Valentine's Day. We are talking all about self-love and having the greatest love affair you will ever have, learning to love yourself in all of your beauty, in all of your flawed perfection, learning to love and appreciate yourself. So this is a point in the show where I'm supposed to tell you a little bit about what's going on. I don't have an awful lot to tell you today. There's as you know, the same stuff's been going on and it continues to go on. So the Facebook page is Subliminal Mindset Mastery. And we have subliminalmindsetmastery.com is the new website. You heard Phoenix Coach on one of those commercials, but we're moving it over to subliminalmindsetmastery.com. It's almost done. It's almost ready to go. My guy is working on it in the background, Brent. Thank you, Brent. And yeah, so that should be going very, very soon. It should be up for us. So creating your life on purpose online course. So this is a program that it was sort of the flagship. It was the first program that I ran on my own. Creating Your Life on Purpose. Loved it. Small groups of women. Beautiful program. Beautiful results. That one we are going to be launching online in the very near future. I would love to do it live, but things are what they are. So we're going to start doing it online, and hopefully that's going to be just as effective. I'm sure it will be. The content is still the same. I'm sure it'll work just as well. We are currently running the beta group for the Subliminal Soundtrack Reset program. And so far, the reviews and the information, the feedback that I'm getting from that group is really great. I'm enjoying it immensely. I'm enjoying watching the shifting and the changing, and it's a bit challenging sometimes, but I am enjoying it immensely, and people seem to be getting a lot out of it. So that is really great. And I think that's where I'm going to call it for the stuff that's going on in our world right now. Everything is great. Beautiful sunny day. And, we're in February. We're almost through to the nice weather starting again. Yay. Yay. I cannot wait. I'm telling you, I'm starting to get that itchy little feeling that get outside and whatever, but it's freaking cold out there right now. So I'm just telling myself that when I start to get that itch, oh, go outside and hang out. No, not right now. Not right now. It's too cold. All right. So here's where we're getting into the juice. Here's the juicy, yummy, meat of this whole thing that I'm going to share with you today. So I've got 5 steps that I created to actually help you work on this self-love thing. Now, part of this exercise or this 5 steps, part of it is something that I've talked about quite a few times. This time I want us to go deep. I want us to go really deep because man, when you get there, when you get to that space where you're like, man, I love me. I love me. I know that I know who I am. I know what I bring to the table. I just so glad that I get to be me. When you get to that space, man, the whole world changes. The whole world changes. So we're going to do a deep dive on that right now. Step 1. Step 1, make a list of qualities that you appreciate in other people. And what I've given sort of as some background on this is think about 10 people who are close to you. 10 people, and they're the people with whom you have the most fun, that you feel most able to drop your guard and be yourself with. Okay. They make you feel safe. They make you feel loved. They make you feel appreciated. All right. So think of those 10 people. I mean, they can be family, they can be friends, they can be anybody. Um, think of those 10 people. Okay. Make a list of 10 qualities about each of them that you really appreciate. Could be their warmth, it could be their laughter, it could be their generosity, it could be anything. So 10 of their qualities, 10 things that make each of these people unique in your world, okay? Make your list. Now, there may be some crossover. There may be some crossover. I was thinking about this morning and I thought, okay, well, even if you end up with somewhere between 25 and 50 qualities about people that you like, because we're talking 10 people, 10 qualities, there are going to be some that are similar, but that list will be 100 items. So pay attention to the ones that repeat. They repeat. So maybe it's that people are really funny. The people that you have in your circle are really funny and you just so appreciate that in them. So maybe that's going to be something that's going to show up on 5 of these lists. Pay attention. And then you're going to have the other ones who make you feel warm and fuzzy, or the ones who make you feel really good about yourself, or maybe they cook something really well. They love to feed you. I don't know. You are the only person who can judge this. Take 10 people that you appreciate and are so glad to have in your life, 10 qualities for each of them. So your list is going to be 100. Now go through there, find those things that are duplicated all over the place. Find those things and make that list. All right? So my guess is that you're going to end up with probably at least 25 unique qualities that you really appreciate in other people. Step 2. Now take that list and ask yourself which of those qualities that you appreciate in other people that you actually possess yourself. Okay. So, what of those things that I really love do I have in my world, like in me, in me? Okay. Step 3. Now, this is the one that I've asked many times. I've asked you to do it. I don't know how many of you've done it. I would love to hear what your results are. Subliminal Mindset Mastery on Facebook. There's a whole page there. Love to hear your comments on this stuff. So, ask those same 10 people to do the same for you. Okay. Go to them and say, hey, I've got this crazy lady who's got this show and I watched her workshop thing or whatever, like whatever you want to say. But this lady asked me to do this. Would you give me a hand? And here's the thing, my friend. If those people are those people in your world, they will be happy to help you. Happy to help you. Okay. You don't even have to tell them the background, whatever. Just say, look, I need this. Could you help me out? Yeah. So when you get their lists back, I would like you to look at their lists and do the same thing that you did before when you had that list of 100. Pay attention to the ones that actually duplicate, right? When I did this for myself, one of the things was being funny. One of the things was my warmth. One of the things was just being like making people feel comfortable and loved and that sort of stuff, right? And I did this several years ago, and this really helped me to work through my stuff. That's why I'm asking you to do it, because I know it helps. So pay attention to the ones that show up repeatedly in each of these people's statements about you. Okay. So 10 adjectives, 10 qualities that they really like about you. All right. Pay attention, pull the ones out that repeat. Now, ask yourself if there are any qualities that you would like to embody that are not showing up. This is step 5. Ask yourself if there are any qualities that you would like to embody that are not showing up for you. Okay. Now, if there are those qualities, is there something you can do about it? That's the key. Because here's the thing. I am the height that I am. I have the eye color that I have. I have the hair color that I have. I mean, my hair color I can change, but there are certain things that we can change and there are certain things that we cannot. All right. My grandmother had the funniest sneeze. I've never heard anybody sneeze the way she did. It was something that was uniquely hers. And if you had asked her to change it, there's no way that she could have done it. Do you see what I'm saying? So there are certain things that we can change and there are certain things that we cannot. So what on those lists shows you something that you would like to embody, and are you able to make that change? Maybe there's a book that you could read. Maybe there is a class that you could take or a seminar, or maybe you could find a mentor or a coach that could help you to learn how to embody that thing, that quality, how to bring that out in yourself, how to foster it, how to nurture it, that kind of stuff. That's where the magic lives, is if you're able to create it. Find the things or the people that will help you to bring that out in yourself so that you can start to embody that and you can start to bring that to your world. There are some things that actually aren't that hard to change. Like if somebody says, I don't like the way your house smells. Like, for example, I know that's really silly, but for example, well, okay, I can do something about that. I can open up, number one, open up the windows. Maybe I need to clean up some stuff or whatever. But you can have diffusers going with beautiful essential oils. You can have all kinds of different stuff, the scented candles. So, do you see what I'm saying? Like, there are some things that are going to be really easy to change. Opening up the windows, airing things out, put on a diffuser or some pretty candle or something like that. Those are easy things to fix. So that's where you want to do your work. That's where you want to start to get that clarity and get that honesty with yourself. Oh, I'm sorry. Jen says I have a machine gun laugh. Everyone always pokes at me about it. But you know what's so beautiful about that, Jen? I bet they love that about you, and they could know that you were the one laughing from a mile away. So if you're in the same place with those people who recognize your laugh and they don't know you're there, they're going to hear you laugh and they're going to know you're there and they're going to come find you. Right? So that's the thing. Right? We have these oh, and she says, and I laugh a lot. That's awesome. What a great, and you know what? I did laughter yoga training, and laughter is actually really good for you. There's so much that happens on a physiological level. There's the endorphins, there's the breathing. There's actually, because like if you've ever laughed until your sides hurt, you can understand that there are muscles that are involved in laughing. And man, my favorite friends are the ones that make me laugh until my sides hurt, aren't they? Right? I love those people. Love those people. So that's one of those things. That's one of those things that makes you unique and beautiful all on your own, is this stuff. Jen's laugh, my laugh, all of that kind of stuff. The way that we perceive ourselves, the way that we perceive the world around us. That's the stuff that makes us unique and beautiful all by ourselves, because nobody can duplicate it. Nobody can duplicate. There is only one you, my friend. All right. So I'm just gonna really quickly recap. Step 1, make a list of qualities that you appreciate in other people. Step 2, take that list and ask yourself which of those qualities that you actually possess. Step 3, Ask those same 10 people to do the same thing for you and share yours with them if they want. Like, why not? Why not? Maybe they'll have some surprises too. Step 4, compare the lists that you are sent by them to the list that you made for yourself. Pick out the ones that are repeating and then ask yourself if there are any qualities that you would like to embody that are not showing up on those lists and what you can do about it. So that's your homework. That's your home play. Yes, that's what I'm going to leave you with on that note. So we are going to head to our last break. You are with me on Time to Rise and Thrive on Inspired Choices Network. I'm your host, Jackie Mott. Today we are talking about self-love because it's Happy Valentine's Day. Greatest love affair you will ever have in your life. We'll be learning how to love yourself. So stick with us. We'll be right back.
What do you tell yourself when you're not listening? This question came to Jackie Mott when she was trying to find peace and purpose in the wake of tragedy. She began to understand that a lot of her pain and choices had been the result of how she perceived herself and her place in the world. And she set about creating a new subliminal soundtrack that would support her in creating a life of abundance, joy, and fulfillment. To learn more about how she did that and how you can do the same, join Jackie on her radio show, Time to Rise and Thrive, every Friday at 1 p.m. Eastern, 12 noon Central, 11 a.m. Mountain, and 10 a.m. Pacific on InspiredChoicesNetwork.com.
What do you tell yourself when you're not listening? Our subliminal soundtrack plays in the back of our minds 24/7. It's filled with everything we've ever learned about money, relationships, body, and sexuality, about every single aspect of our lives. If you don't have what you desire, the Subliminal Soundtrack Reset program may be the very key to changing it all. In this 8-week program, designed by Jackie Mott, you'll learn to replace messages that stop your desires with new ones that not only support you in creating what you truly desire, but expand your life to higher levels of joy and pleasure. Go to phoenixcoach.ca today to sign up and begin creating your life on purpose.
This is the Time to Rise and Thrive show with mindset coach and facilitator of change, Jackie Mott. To participate in the program, join our live studio audience in our chat room at InspiredChoicesNetwork.com. For more information, visit phoenixcoach.ca, where you can follow Phoenix Coaching online. Now, back to the program.
Hello and welcome back to our last segment of Time to Rise and Thrive on Inspired Choices Network. I'm your host, Jackie Mott, and today we are talking about Happy Valentine's Day. We're talking about the greatest love affair you will ever experience, learning to love yourself. So this is our last segment. We're going to wrap up. I'm probably going to recap some of the stuff, but one of the things that I'm going to ask you to consider here just before we go is this was one of the big changes for me. And a friend of mine came to me one time. I think we were having breakfast or maybe we were just having a cup of coffee. I remember where we were sitting, but I don't remember all of the circumstances. And she was really feeling badly about something. Something had happened in her world. Now, I got to tell you, this particular friend of mine is one of those people with whom I feel the most comfortable. She is one of those people who it does not matter. It doesn't matter what's going on in my world. It doesn't matter what I look like. It doesn't matter how I feel. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. She is somebody who makes me feel loved and seen and heard and valued every time we spend time together. She's brilliant and beautiful and amazing. And that's how I perceive this person, okay? So she was sitting there and she was talking about whatever it was that had happened and how she was feeling about it. And she was just it was making me sad. It was making me sad because I'm thinking to myself, okay, well, do you not see how beautiful and amazing you are? Do you not see that you make me feel this and this and this and this? And I didn't think to say those things, but what I did think to say to her was, if I were to show up on your doorstep and I had done exactly the thing or experienced exactly whatever it is, right? If I had done exactly the thing that you were sitting here beating the crap out of yourself about, and I showed up on your doorstep and I felt just as badly as you do right now, how would you perceive me? how would you perceive me? Would you pick up that same stick that you're beating yourself over the head with right now and turn it on me? Would you say, "Oh my God, Jackie, what? Oh my God, that was so stupid." Or, "Oh, you're such a bad person because of," would you talk to me like that? Would you say those things to me? And she sat with that for a minute and she just went, "No, I don't think I would. I couldn't do that. I couldn't do that because I love you." Aha. I couldn't do that because I love you. So what would it take for us to start to look at ourselves in that same way? How would I treat somebody that I really love? Maybe my partner, maybe my friend, maybe my spouse, my child, my like the person that you really, really love. When you come to a place where you are starting to go, man, about yourself, I'm going to ask you to do that. Consciously do that. Think of that person that you adore on the other side of that conversation. Imagine that you were them. Imagine that you were them. Could you talk to them the same way that you're talking to yourself right now? Could you actually say those things out of your mouth to that person that you loved? And if you couldn't, you need to think about that, my friend. You need to think about that. We have one relationship in our life that we almost never think about. One. One relationship that we almost never think about. There is only one person who will be with you from the moment you are born to the moment that you pass. One person, and that's you. Spouses come and go, parents leave us, children fly the nest, and they go off and make their own lives. Friends will come and go. There is one person that will be with you every step of the way, and you need to start recognizing how beautiful and amazing and wonderful that person is and honoring him or her. Gratitude, man. Gratitude. This is the thing. This is the thing. The gratitude for who you are and how you show up in this world. It is a journey. It is a journey. There are still times that I can get caught up in these ideas about my ugliness or the things that are wrong. There are. I still dance with those demons sometimes. The difference is that now, because I understand, those things are not my truth. They may be part of my story, they might be a piece of me, but they are not my truth. And so I give them the power they deserve, which is not much. Do you understand what I'm saying? Yeah. All right. So we are right down to the wire here. Thank you so much for being with me. I've got a quote that I want to leave you with. When I was working out the show outline this morning, this is what I wrote. There has never been another person who was born with exactly the same gifts, talents, challenges, flaws, in exactly the same combination, with exactly the same circumstances, exactly the same experiences, and so on and so on. And there never will be. You are unique and beautiful, and you are the only one who can be and do what only you can be or do. You are a one-of-a-kind masterpiece. What would it take for you to see yourself with eyes that recognize that? And what could change for you if you did? That's what I've got to leave you with, my friends. So we will be back next Friday, 1 p.m. Eastern, 12 noon Central, 11 Mountain Time, and 10 Pacific. Next week's show is called Surrender, If It's Meant to Be. I am looking forward to this one. I've already started writing it. We'll be talking about letting go of control, allowing things to be what they are, making peace with your current circumstances. That can be tough, right? That can be really tough to recognize and understand what's going on and to own our own responsibility in what's going on. That one can be tough. So that's what I've got for you today. Have a look on Facebook for a Subliminal Mindset Mastery. There's all kinds of stuff that I post on there. And now I just want to thank you so much, so very much for joining me today on Time to Rise and Thrive on Inspired Choices Network. I am your host, Jackie Mott of Subliminal Mindset Mastery in London, Ontario. We will be back next week. And until next Friday, remember, it's time to rise and thrive. Have a great week.
Thank you for joining us for Time to Rise and Thrive radio show. Jackie Mott will return next Friday at 1 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, 12 noon Central, 11 a.m. Mountain, and 10 a.m. Pacific on InspiredChoicesNetwork.com. We hope you'll join us. Have a fantastic week, and remember, it's your time to rise and thrive.